Well, hello. What I have here is a Kizer, and you'll probably have to excuse the funky look to the Micarta on this at the moment. This one and another one from Kizer did kind of reject the dye that I tried this last time, but all right. Either way, when they come, they're much more natural and tan looking Micarta on this guy. This one. It's a Begleiter XL button lock, 154 cm steel. We have thumbstud and flipper tab deployment on this thing. And this blade is big. They market it as a 4-inch blade. I basically measure it exactly 3.9 inches from basically there on the handle out towards the tip, so just a little tiny bit smaller, but that's all right. We can see we have a lot of jimping on this, and I really do appreciate that, because that way it's pretty comfortable in a relaxed saber grip, but you can also really get up there in kind of a more hammer grip and still have that nice jimping for getting a lot more leverage, like right out here on the blade. So I really appreciate that. That's nice. Deep carry pocket clip on this thing. And because the handle on this thing is quite large, it doesn't bother me because the loop on it actually is out past my hand. So when I'm really clamping down on it, if that's something that I need to actually do, I'm not actually dealing with a giant loop of metal that doesn't have any flex to it and ends up being uncomfortable. This guy, whether or not it's marketed as such, has multi-row bearings in there. So just like the Towser K, using the same exact bearings for that. And this thing has stupid action on it. Yeah, you can just push that button and just have it sway in the breeze. So that's pretty darn cool. Really, really fidgety because of that. Yeah, we also have Lefty Love on here, so if you want to have that pocket clip on the other side, well, you can do that. We got their standard liner, or standard lanyard hole going on here. And we do have slightly proud liners. That is a characteristic of the whole Begleiter family. Speaking of which, I could probably, as long as I can find where I put them, pull some of those out. Here we are. So yeah, I can compare these to an original and a 2, since I have both of those. But something that I really ran into, and something that I'm very, very kicking around the idea for, is removing the flipper tab from this. It is interesting, and they did go to a long length to actually manufacture this thing for the flipper tab to work with the button lock in a decent way. However, something that I've noticed is a lot of times once I'm done, I want to close that, and that liner lock is hitting my fingers. It's nice and rolled over. It absolutely doesn't have any uncomfortable feeling to it, but it does prevent me from closing the knife perfectly that way. If I want to do that with a little bit more open hand, absolutely no problems there. Or if I want to grip it further back, also no problems. But I do also feel that it feels a little lazier than the other deployment methods. So I don't think I would necessarily miss that. And traditionally, Begleiters don't have a flipper tab on there. So yeah, I'm definitely thinking about that. I haven't actually done any flipper deletes or anything like that in the past, so I don't quite have the knowledge on exactly what I need to do for that. I probably have the tools and everything to do it, but I want to make sure that I do it right. And what I would want to have is a flat piece of steel there, so that my finger can actually rest comfortably on that flat part there if I did want to choke up on it. So, yeah, that's something that I'm thinking about doing. But, obviously some other things have to happen first. Hopefully I end up with a better dye job than what I have at the moment. But, yes. Okay, so we got a nice Stonewash on the blade here. As I mentioned before, 154 cm, which Kizer is using more and more and more of on its more budgetary offerings, and I really, really appreciate that. It's a heck of an upgrade over VG10, and a pretty good upgrade over the N690 that they'd been using in the past. Let's see, this guy, yeah, this original one's in VG10, and this Begleiter 2 is an N690. So yeah, a whole bunch of different steels going on there. Obviously this isn't a review, but the Begleiter 2 is a touch smaller than the original. But yeah, we can see we got a big ol' heckin' knife going on over here. Still, nice, crazy action, just like you would get on that Begleiter 2. Works out super, super great. Yeah, like I had mentioned, that fold over there doesn't really bother me in my hands when I have that grip because it comes out the backside of it. But, for one, it's very, very sturdy. Of course, it's going to wiggle a little bit. But it doesn't feel like the pocket clip itself is bending from side to side or anything like that. So it's fairly stiff, but pretty darn easy to slide something in and out of that pocket. It's got that nice spoon clip sort of thing like a lot of Spydercos do. So I do appreciate that quite a bit. And, viewers of my channel will probably know that I don't usually appreciate proud liners or shadowboxed liners. There's a couple of different things for them. But on this one, really doesn't bother me that much, mostly because my thumb isn't back and exclusively on that in almost any grip. If I'm using it in a relaxed saber grip, my thumb is definitely up on the blade quite a bit there. And, of course, if I'm doing a hammer grip there. So it's a little bit less uncomfortable than it would otherwise be. Still, if it was absolutely my preference, I would like to have the Micarta all the way up there. But also, if I did want to do something stupid and crazy, like try to take down those liners all the way around, I would probably also have to do that to the blade, because the blade is directly flush with those proud liners too, so... Maybe it would be something that might be a little bit easier to machine just a little bit taller micarta things for, but I don't know. Yeah, this thing is just a heck of a lot of fun to play with. It puts a giant smile on my face, but sometimes those really big knives do. Not all the time, but this one is definitely lived up to kind of my expectations there. As with the rest of them, yeah, it is an Ozo my design. MAI, I'm not talking about myself, obviously. And yeah, these things are fairly affordable. They're White Mountain Knives exclusive, at least in this configuration here. And yeah, well under $100. I wanted to say it was somewhere around 80, 78? Somewhere around there, yeah. So it's a really, really good knife for the price with all the materials and the fit and finish and everything that goes into it. It's quite heavy. I'm not going to lie to you. We can see we have skeletonization going on both sides. It's not super aggressive. We just have some holes drilled here, some 2 smaller ones up front and 3 on the back here. And we don't really have much in the way of a backspacer, just a couple of barrels there. But that really doesn't help the fact that this thing comes in over 5 ounces. It's, 5.37 ounces or 152 grams. And once you get to about this weight, it actually does feel significant in the hand after using it for an extended period. That's not something that necessarily bothers me. Like I said, I don't really mind a heavy knife, but if you are backpacking or wandering around in your basketball shorts, these things might just take them off. So, you know, you might want to watch out for that just a little tiny bit. But, if you have sufficient ways to suspend your pants correctly, either suspenders, I always use a belt, whatever, then yeah, this thing works out super, super great. I should probably do some other blade comparisons, since that would make sense rather than just comparing it to itself if someone's not super familiar. But yeah, you can see it's pretty big. It's larger than the right one. Let's see, there's my Spyderco PM2. And since this guy's pretty big, let's go put him up against a Bendix 2XL. And we can see, yeah, he's pretty close to that. You have more cutting length on this Begleiter here just due to not having the finger choil up front there. So yes, quite a large knife. As I'd mentioned earlier, it looks funny because I tried to dye these scales purple. As I said, when it came from the factory, it was fairly tan, a little bit on the light side. Quite a bit like this. Obviously, this is G10, but fairly similar in the color. This is probably a little lighter than it was. But I also tried to do that on the sheepdog, which we'll be taking a look at pretty soon as well. And both of these, which are, I don't know necessarily what, but Kizer does say that they use American-sourced micarta from it. Neither one of these actually ended up looking the way that I was intending them to. Here's some examples of ones that did end up quite well. This was a fairly green, olive drab kind of look, Civivi Elementum button lock. And, well, here's another button lock from Tucson here. This one had a fairly light tan micarta there, and I do like that I can still see the striations in there. That's a nice touch. Yeah, both of those look nice. But, yeah, these ones didn't really take too well, so I'm going to try them again. And possibly a third time. I still have the solution for the dye and everything mixed up. But my next thought is to try to use some salt in there. That's supposed to help with using the red dye to help them set onto fabrics. So I'm going to try that. Also, try to sand these things just a little bit so I get a little bit more fabric tendrils kind of out there to help them grab onto it. And if that doesn't work, then I can also try putting some vinegar into the solution there. That's only supposed to be used for protein fabrics, meaning like animal hair, something like Angora or wool or silk or anything like that. But I have absolutely no idea what these fabrics are made out of because, well, it's just micarta in general. So, yeah, we'll see if I can't actually get those to the correct one there. But, yes, that was basically everything that I wanted to talk about with this guy. I love it. I would definitely suggest if you like something that's fairly large, very substantial, very well built, for not a whole lot of money, you really can't go wrong with it. It's a fantastic design, especially for, people like me with them larger hands. Works out fantastic. We do the plunge grind there is fairly quick, but does end up having just a little tiny bit before the blade starts there. So you have a couple sharpenings, maybe two, really, before that might become a little bit of a problem there. But Yeah. Making sure that, yes, you can easily modify that to drive that choil up further. Just wanted to make sure that that wasn't the stopping contact point on the button lock there. So, all right, that's basically everything that I was going to cover here. However, if you do want to stick around, I am going to do a little disassembly on this guy. But, if you were just here for a review for it, then, yeah, I appreciate y'all for watching. And for the rest of us, let's go ahead and continue. Pocket clip has a couple of T6 screws here. They don't inset into the micarta there, which could have been a little nice. But, yeah, I can understand they wanted to keep that nice and flat there. The rest of it, however, is T8s. So that is nice. I always appreciate having T8 hardware compared to T6 for things. And the way that this ends up being put together here, you can see the spring basically rests on the inside of this piece of micarta. That means when I take it apart this way, that this spring doesn't yeet itself into oblivion or Narnia or wherever else might end up being close down here in my basement. And yeah, that makes it pretty easy to disassemble this thing. You can see on the inside here, we do have a little bit of a recess there in the liners for the multi-row bearings, as I was talking about there. And we can see the skeletonization is pretty nice in there. The plunger here does need to go in from this side, so you can't shove it in through the backside. That's a good thing, means that that plunger won't shoot out if something wrong goes on when you're trying to put the whole darn thing back together. But yeah, very, very nicely well done. Very simple inside, which is absolutely what I want to see. And we do have a D-shaped pivot in here, as you can see over here. It is only on that side, so you do have to make sure that it's lined up top. I probably didn't even need to put that spring in there yet, but I did anyway. Then you just want to make sure that the spring is actually in the correct place underneath there, and you definitely need to hold that down as you put the pivot on. Otherwise, it's just going to spring right back up, and well, then everyone's going to be sad at you, and your parents are going to tell you that you're a giant failure. And well, I don't know about your parents. I don't really think mine necessarily would, but they might be a little disapproving. All right. Yeah, no problems at all. Cool. Let's get that pocket clip back on here. I really do kind of wish that these were inset just a little tiny bit. And, you know, honestly, that doesn't seem like a difficult mod to end up doing by yourself. Just using a little bit of a channeling sort of thing. You could probably just do that from there all the way to the end, and it would work. You would have those little divots on both sides. But you would also lose a little bit of a height there, and you would probably also want to take off the end of those screws, otherwise, because they'll stick out further into the liner there. Still doesn't look like it would probably reach them, but hey, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. All right, yeah, that's the Kizer Begleiter XL button lock. That's a White Mountain Eyes exclusive. And not this weird, funky, mottled color. It does come basically with micarta that looks like this. So, all right, well, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Subscribe.